Yo, what up? You know what it is. It's your boy AJ Francis reporting to you live from New York City, the birthplace of hip-hop. And I'm telling you that I'm only tuned in with true heel heat wrestling. Holla at me.
Oye, te habla tío Sabio Vega. This is Sabio Vega and you watching True Heel Hit a mi manera o pa' la calle.
Hello. It is me, your True Heel Phenom, SP3, and we are back once again with another pay-per-view review. This time, we are breaking down everything that went down in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, September 27, 2025. NXT No Mercy 2025, as there have crowned a new NXT champion in one of the most shocking upsets in the brand's history. And we're here to talk all about it. I am back with y'all once again. Thank you for joining us. If you're watching us during the premiere, thank you. If you're joining us on demand for our WWE NXT No Mercy 2025 review, breaking down the latest premium live event from NXT. Appreciate all of y'all. Either way, show your appreciation back. The simplest way possible is by dropping a thumbs up on this video. You can also share this video with all your wrestling fans, friends, and family on all your favorite social media platforms. And if you are new to the True Heel Heat YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button, hit the bell to stay notified for all the great content here. And let's talk all about NXT No Mercy in the comment section down below. Let us know what you thought. Give us your match of the night, your MVP, your LVP. Thumbs up, thumbs down, thumbs in the middle, and out of 10, what did you give the show? You can also do that in the live chat if you're watching us during the premiere drop-in on Monday night before the latest episode of NXT tomorrow, and we have a lot to discuss from No Mercy. So before we get into all of that, as we always do with our pay-per-view reviews, I'll give you my one word, one phrase, describe my overall thoughts on WWE NXT No Mercy. It's, well, look at that. Well, look at that. We have a good show, has a noteworthy title change, and NXT by itself is in the headlines. Not anything to do with the WWE main roster, not anything to do with the AEW pay-per-view that WWE decides that they want NXT to go up against. The conversation coming out of the weekend is mostly just about NXT had a good show, which should be the conversation whenever NXT has a premium live event. At least it was a good show when it doesn't go against an AEW pay-per-view and doesn't get washed in terms of quality. But well, look at that is my phrase for this show. Welcome, friends and all. We're in Fort Lauderdale, Florida for this show, and they're kicking off strong with one of my personal favorites from NXT, Javon Evans, as he is going one-on-one with his latest rival, Josh Briggs. These two men have been at each other's throats over the last couple of weeks, coming off the heels of Heat Wave last month. Evans opened the match by kicking Briggs right square in the mouth and punching him repeatedly. That just upset the big man, who grabbed Evans and threw him over the top rope. Briggs then went to charge Evans, but he moved out of the way, and Briggs ended up hitting the steel steps. Back in the ring, Evans had Briggs on his heels, hitting high-flying moves and Hurricane Radas. Evans was favoring his hip during this matchup due to an attack from Briggs on SmackDown the night prior, after he came up short against Sami Zayn during one of his United States Championship Open challenges. So we saw Briggs taking advantage of that. Briggs began fighting back and working him over. He used his power throughout, continuing the assault with a few more throws into the corner. Evans would fight back, but Briggs would continue to overpower him, further injuring his hip at another point when Briggs got to him first and sends him flying over the apron into the barricade. Back in the ring, Briggs hits a sidewalk slam. He miffed on a big splash afterwards, which he began stomping Evans, but then stopped to mug for the crowd. To let the crowd distract you, and you learn to regret it. as Briggs Evans would make a big comeback, including a huge dive to the outside, tossing Briggs back into the ring. Evans followed up with a huge 5-star frog splash, clearing across the ring, only getting a 2.5. Briggs began clubbering Evans, including a huge lariat that flipped him inside out. Evans came back with a bunch of flying forearms. Briggs nailed him with a big boot to keep the back and forth going. Briggs hit a flipping knee and tried for a cover, but only got the 2 count. He finally would hit his big choke slam, but Evans would kick out at 2.99. It looked like he was about to put him away after a mid-air lariat and then another one, turning Evans inside out again, almost getting the 3 until Evans gets his foot on the rope. Briggs tried to go up again, but Evans grabbed his ankle and began slapping him. Briggs went to give him a choke slam, but Evans turned that into a cutter, then followed up with a very fast frog splash before hitting him with the big OG super cutter for the 1-2-3. Javon Evans beats Josh Briggs, getting his win back, picking up some momentum ahead of possibly getting back into title contention. This was a hell of an opening matchup. Very strong matchup to kick off the show. Fast paced, but really Briggs is a great guy to be a base for the more high-flying, faster competitors, which Javon Evans has produced 2 really good matches with Josh Briggs here. This opening matchup was very good. I'm going to give it 3 3/4 stars. I think Javon Evans has all the potential to follow in the footsteps of your Sami Zayns, of your Johnny Garganos, to be NXT's latest great underdog babyface. He has all the makings of doing that, and I think he is going to be NXT champion one day. It's just about when, not if. We get some footage was shown of Trick Williams beating up Dominic Mysterio from a match at No Mercy 2023. Then we see Dragon Lee was the referee. Trick won. I have no idea why they showed this. This was a No Mercy classic. They then show footage of the TNA invasion, but they're calling it excursion, from last Tuesday. Footage was also shown of Kalani Jordynne winning the TNA Knockouts Championship at Victory Road. She commented on our win, calling it a big win, and that Lonnie does what Lonnie's going to do, and Lonnie's going to be champion. Women's Speed Championship is up next. It was originally supposed to be Lainey Reed challenging Sol Ruca for her one of her double championships, but unfortunately, Lainey Reed reportedly suffered an injury during training. More on that later, which led to Jada Parker being her replacement. Declared that she was not medically cleared, so Jada Parker replaced her here. For those that don't remember, the Speed Championship used to be only defended on X, so this was the first time it was defended on a premium live event. There is a 5-minute time limit for all championship bouts, so not much you can do with the time constraint that are going on here with this matchup. Ruka would keep Jada on her back foot, using her speed and her athleticism throughout this matchup. You get Parker, who tried to go up the entrance ramp, but there was only 2 minutes left. Back in the ring, Ruka hit a DDT, but only got a 2 count, 1 minute, 43 seconds left. They got to their feet, and Parker caught Ruka in a Samoan drop. Ruka rolled out, and before Parker can get the pinfall, Ruka started wasting as much time as possible, went for another dive, but Parker dodged it and threw her back into the ring. Lash Legend would then show up at ringside after Parker was distracted by Zarya. Lash would go to attack Jada, but Jada was talking so much shit to Zarya that Zarya went for a spear at the same time and nailed Lash Legend instead of Jada. Jada was distracted, and when she get back into the ring, she is caught with the Soul Snatcher as soon as she goes through the ropes to continue the matchup, and Sol Ruca retains the WWE Speed Championship with 11 seconds remaining. This was probably the weakest match on the show. I like both ladies. I wanted to like this matchup, but there was just too much clunkiness in the opening couple of minutes to the matchup, and not much you can do in a 5-minute time limit style formatted matchup. So they couldn't make the most of it and overcome that first couple of minutes that were a little bit clunky and a little bit botchy to start things off. And they stand out more in a match that's only 5 minutes. So match was fine.
2 stars.
We get footage was shown from last week's NXT of Joe Hendry being interviewed. He was interrupted by Dark State, who told him they were going to give him a 4-on-1 beatdown the next time he got involved in their business. They said it's either with them or against them, and left as Hendry pondered what they had to say. Then we get a weaponized steel cage matchup. Jordynne Grace going up against Blake Monroe. These two women hate each other, so they got a weaponized steel cage matchup. It meant that there were kendo sticks, garbage cans, official Slim Jim tables, and chairs painted in pink for some reason, attached to the cage for the participants could use. The bell rang and they charged at each other, with Grace sending Monroe into the steel cage first. We get Grace setting up a chair and putting Monroe in a Boston Crab, setting the chair over her so Grace could have a seat for more torque on her back. Grace set up a chair in the ropes and picked up Monroe. Monroe hit Grace and sent her shoulder first into the chair and then face first into the steel cage. Monroe worked Grace's wrist into the chain link, wrenching the already injured joint. She then pulled down a pink garbage can and clobbered Grace with it. There was a curling iron and she used a hair dryer in the can, but that got ignored for a while. We get Monroe work the hand of Grace again, then hit a inverted Russian leg sweep, losing the kendo stick. She then went for the aforementioned hair dryer, but instead of using the actual hair dryer, she used the cord to tie up Jordynne Grace's hands into the ropes. She then pulled out a pair of scissors and began cutting chunks and chunks of Jordynne's hair out of her head. Grace was powerless to stop any of this and was beyond pissed when she got herself free. We get a Luthez Pest, and she beat the ever-living hell out of Monroe. She hit a series of lariats and went for a powerbomb, but Monroe got out of it and started scaling the cage. Grace pulled her down onto the ropes, and she hit a big Samoan drop from way high. Grace took a moment to mourn for her curly locks that were all over the ring mat. She then basically got to it and started beating the crap out of Monroe until she reversed things and sent Grace crashing face first into the garbage can. Monroe grabbed the lid of the garbage can and drop kicked it right into Jordynne Grace's face. Monroe then pulled another bag off of the cage and emptied its contents, and instead of thumbtacks, it was diamonds. She grabbed Grace and tried to slam her, but Grace is able to reverse and does this weird looking like backdrop, back suplex style move, exploder type move into the diamonds for a cool spot. Grace got to her feet first and grabbed a garbage can, setting Monroe up on the top rope. Grace climbed up, but Monroe slipped out and hung Grace up in the tree of woe. She put a garbage can over Grace's face and then double stomped it from the top rope. Monroe then grabbed the official Slim Jim table to the fans' delight. She tried to jam Grace's face into the table leg, which would have been brutal, but Grace is able to reverse and sends Monroe into the cage like a battering ram. She then sets up the table above the steel chair, the steel cage. They fight to the top of the steel cage. Looks like they're going to take a big bump off of there numerous times before they finally get down to the top rope. Grace gets her up from the top of the cage into an air raid crash position, hits the big air raid crash off the top rope through the table. Grace lands on top of Monroe. 1, 2, 3. Jordynne Grace picks up the win, getting the win in this weaponized steel cage matchup. And this was awesome. So many memorable spots, so many fun sequences in this matchup. Silly name aside, I think that both ladies went out here and gave it their all and really showed that they are top of the class of the NXT Women's Division right now. 4.25 stars. I'll say spoiler alert. I think this is the match of the night. I think these two ladies just went balls to the wall. So many memorable moments, like the hair being cut in the middle of a matchup. Did not expect to see that. Did not expect to see scissors. Did not expect to see chunks of hair in the middle of the ring. Didn't need the pink garbage cans and pink steel chairs, but aesthetics aside, the two ladies' performances are worthy of praise. The diamonds instead of thumbtacks was a nice touch because that's not what NXT or WWE like to do. The big ending with the air raid crash through the table. This was the style of matchup that Mariah May made her name on in AEW, and she brought it here and showed why she was recognized as one of the best women's wrestlers in the world due to matches like this. And she did it here. And this was one of Jordynne Grace, if not Jordynne Grace's best match in WWE from her time, appearing as a TNA star to what she's been able to accomplish since signing with the company earlier this year. These two ladies, man, honestly, they stole the show. They stole the show in a lot of ways, if you really think about it. Next up was one of the bigger announcements of the show, what the show is going to be recognized for, and you see it in the headline. Ava is backstage, and she talks about the whole situation going on with TNA. She addressed that TNA invaded them last week, and they can't have this going on. So after a week of discussions with TNA, a director of authority, Santino Marella, she announced that NXT and TNA will compete in 2 5-on-5 Survivor Series style matches, one for the men and one for the women. There will be a tag team title matchup between the Hardys and Dark State for the NXT and TNA World Tag Team Championships. And there will also be a winner-takes-all matchup with everyone banned from ringside between Oba Femi and Trick Williams. On October 7th, NXT TV will present NXT Invasion, NXT versus TNA. Huge announcement. And of course, October 7th is the next time that WWE NXT goes head to head with AEW, as AEW does this yearly preemption on Wednesday and they move to Tuesday for Title Tuesday. They are going up against TNA versus NXT Invasion. Huge announcement, huge news to come out of this show. What do you guys think about the TNA NXT partnership? What do you think about the TNA NXT Invasion? It feels very manufactured, very not real. The fact that there wasn't any surprise appearance or anything like that during this whole show, and that they're basically promoting every time they do an invasion, it just comes off so soulless. There's just no spark to it to me. But I want to know what you think. That's just my opinion. Let me know what you think. We get Lash Legend, who comes out on the stage. She comes out from the back and she cuts a promo on the recently announced invasion and how she wants to lead Team NXT. She also talks about taking the spear from Zarya earlier in the show, and that's fine because Jada Parker wasn't able to win the NXT Women's Championship. She then gets attacked from behind by Jada Parker, who's coming out for some revenge. They start brawling with one another until officials and referees come out to separate the two women who have grown into a very intense rivalry, which explodes and will further progress coming up on NXT this Tuesday on CW. Lainey Reed is interviewed backstage about missing out on her WWE Speed Championship matchup. She says that it was an ankle injury that took her out, but she'll be back. Lola Vice interrupted the interview to tell her that it sucks, but she'll be back better than ever. Reed said that Vice had no chance to win her match tonight, and Vice says that she's bringing the title home to Vice City. NXT North American Championship matchup. Ethan Page defends against Tavion Heights. If Tavion wins the title here, does it mean that he has to pay tariffs? Who knows? Off the bell, we got the two locking up. Heights showing some real aggression here. Page responds with a headlock. Heights sends him into the ropes. We get a US Shade chant that starts busting out for a bit. Page takes control of the matchup before Heights comes back. He finally shook off Page, sends him into the corner. Heights went up top, but Page climbed the ropes and then hits a backbreaker over the steel of the turnbuckle. Heights landed on the outside and was checked on by the official. Heights had to use his power and athleticism to get back into things. He would hit an Olympic slam, an Olympic style Boston Crab by Ethan Page on Heights. Heights was able to get to the ropes though, and it seemed like Ethan's ankle had given out as Heights had gone after it throughout the matchup. He finally gets him in an ankle lock. It looks like Ethan Page is about to tap out, but he's able to make it to the ropes. Both men start going at it, using their big moves as much as they can. You get both men going to the top rope. Ethan Page looking for a top rope power slam, but you get Heights who goes for a sleeper hold, but Page is able to reverse things. He gets him into the top rope avalanche power slam. He then rolls through, lifts him up, gets to his feet, hits the twisted grin for the 1-2-3. Ethan Page retains the NXT North American Championship in what I thought was a strong showing for Tavion Heights. Solid matchup. I gave it 3.25 stars. Heights looked really impressive here, but it's Ethan Page who has really even gotten better in the ring, and he showed off his expertise here. He was the better of the two in this matchup. After the match, the AAA Latin American champion El Hijo de Dr. Wagner Jr. appeared on the Titantron and basically issues a challenge to Ethan Page. He says he's coming for his Latin American championship. Well, Wagner Jr., the third, is coming for his North American championship. Like I said, 3.25 stars for this one. Next up, NXT Women's Championship up for grabs. It's Lola Vice near her hometown of Miami, Florida. She is challenging the champion, Jayne. Jayne coming up in her best HBK 1994 impression. The crowd was clearly behind the hometown hero Vice here, who looked great early on, using her quickness and her kicks and hard-hitting strikes to really have control of things. Jayne set Vice up for some chops and threw her into the ropes. Vice came off with a shot to the stomach and then a suplex. Vice put on a chin lock and wrenched the neck of Jayne. Jayne was able to turn that into a chin breaker before the two started trading pinning attempts. Jayne hits a sling blade and goes for the cover, but she's only able to get a 2. She suplexed Vice, and they started delivering some hard kicks to the back, working the body part that took the brunt of the stair shots early as she dropped her on the steel steps. Then you get Henley got involved, got up on the apron, and Vice charged her, and then just left her open for Jayne to hit a backstabber. Jayne put her knee on Vice's back and then pulled her into a chin lock in the middle. Eventually, Fallon Henley is thrown from ringside, which leads to Lola Vice feeling like she has control of things. We get a big sequence where both ladies are trading big strikes and big blows. They're going back and forth. Vice hits her spinning back fist, but Jayne comes back with the rolling encore. Vice's momentum takes her out of the ring to ringside. Suddenly, someone in black and a hood jumps over the guardrail, flattens Vice with the running knee strike. Jayne then gets her back into the ring after Vice was nearly counted out. She gets back at the count of 9. She receives the rolling encore for her trouble. 1, 2, 3. Jacy Jayne retains the NXT Women's Championship. Solid enough matchup here. I gave this 3.5 stars. I thought that Lola Vice looked really good and was the better performer of the two individuals. It was hard hitting, had a lot of near falls that had people convinced. I thought a lot of people came into this show thinking that Lola was going to win the matchup. She has so much star power, so much charisma. The sky is the limit for her potential wise. Jacy Jayne is really manifesting. She's basically really progressed and improved throughout this NXT Women's Championship run. It's done a lot for her, and she's grown by leaps and bounds to become a really good heel champion, in my opinion. So I thought they worked really well together here. For the NXT Men's Championship, Ricky Saints challenged the dominant champion Oba Femi. Ricky Saints has been on a roll since coming to NXT since February, but no one has been able to stop Oba Femi, who has held championship gold for mostly the duration of the last 2 years. Femi went for Saints off the top, but Saints had it scouted and got a few jabs before using his speed to keep Femi on the back foot. Saints went up top, but Femi caught him on the way down. Saints wedged out, wiggled out, and hits a drop kick, stunning Oba momentarily. He sent him outside and then went for a dive, but Oba was waiting and hits him with a massive shot to Saints between the ropes that echoed throughout the crowd. Femi got in the ring and slowed the tempo down using his power and strength. He laid him out with a big backbreaker. Femi put him in the corner and laid in some shots to Saints' stomach, overwhelming the challenger. Saints got out of it. He goes for a crossbody, but Femi caught him and hits a backbreaker once again, laying him out over the turnbuckle, pressing down, folding him in half. Saints snuck in a shot in, and then Femi staggered. Saints went off the ropes, but got caught and got chokeslammed to the mat. Femi charged, but Saints moved and tried to roll up. Off of that, only getting a 2. He then hits a high knee and then charged in with a forearm and a few more for good measure to get Femi into the corner. Saints tried to pick up Femi on the second try, got him up for a Samoan drop, but only was able to get a 2. Saints went for a spear, but Femi swatted him out of midair, hits a big pop-up uppercut, only gets a 2 count. They ran the ropes again. This time, Saints landed a huge spear, but Femi is the one who kicks out at 2.5. They got to their feet and began trading shots. Femi got close, but Saints popped up. He laid in a few more shots, but Femi threw him off. Saints charged, and Femi grabbed him and threw him across the ring. He tried to pick up Ricky, but Ricky turned it into a roll-up, but was only able to get a 2 count. Saints rarely rolled out of the ring, and Femi followed. Femi pulled everything off of the announce table and picked up Saints. He threw him onto the table and looking for the fall from grace powerbomb, but somehow, some way, Saints is able to reverse into a DDT right onto the table that somehow did not break. Saints hits a tornado DDT onto the floor, thus hurting Femi yet again. He tries to go for a third one off the apron, but Femi swats him out of the air, brings him in the ring, hits the fall from grace, but Saints kicked out at 2.99. Femi goes for another fall from grace, but Ricky's able to reverse that into a third DDT. He hits a 4 spinning DDT. 1, 2, 3. The shocking gasp from the live crowd in Fort Lauderdale as Ricky Saints has dethroned the ruler. Ricky Saints is your new NXT champion. Wow. Did not see this one coming in the least bit. Both of these men deserve credit. I thought they told a very well done story of the confidence and hubris of Oba Femi and the dominant run that he's been on, getting the better of him. Ricky Saints, always motivated, always determined, overcoming the more powerful, the more dominant champion, and becoming the champion by just dropping him on his head 4 times and beating him clean as a whistle. Did not expect this match to go off as clean as it did, but a hell of a way to put over Ricky Saints and crown him as the top star of NXT. Great match by both men. I gave this one 4 stars. Ricky Saints is your new NXT champion. Well-deserved, and seems to be the quick way WWE basically says, hey, this is how we're going to make this person seem like a superstar in WWE after an AEW run. Ethan Page in 2024, and now Ricky Saints in 2025. Congratulations to Ricky Saints. As far as my overall review for NXT No Mercy, thumbs in the middle. Let me know in the live chat in the comment section what you thought. I'm giving this one a thumbs up across the board for me. Out of 10, 7.5 out of 10. Good show. Good show. I think that they're missing kind of like that match of the year level matchup on the show that bumps it up to like your 8.5. I think it's pretty close to that. I wouldn't mind anybody if they gave this show an 8 out of 10. Give it a 7.5 because I thought, the Speed Championship matchup was pretty weak. The North American Championship matchup was nothing much to write home about. Jacy, Jayne, and Lola Vice was good. It was missing a little bit something for me. Everything else was very good to even great between the main event and the weaponized steel cage. So hats off to the NXT roster. Match of the night, the weaponized steel cage matchup. Jordynne Grace and Blake Monroe went out there and stole the show. MVP for the show, it's got to be Ricky Saint. Huge victory and an upset that no one saw coming. LVP for the show, I'm going to have to give it to Lainey Reed because she got herself out of the matchup and then cheated to win, as well as WWE's website that revealed that that was Lainey Reed that interviewed in the Women's Championship matchup. So fucking weird. What is going on with this company in 2025? I can't even explain it anymore. But that is how I see WWE NXT No Mercy 2025. But that's just my opinion. What is your opinion? Let me know in the comments down below, and we'll talk more about this show. Check me out. I'll be live tomorrow, 1:05 p.m. Eastern Time, with our WWE Monday Night Raw review, Rated Raw review. It'll be myself and the top guy, JJ, joining us to talk all about Monday Night Raw. We got some reviews and previews, THH cuts dropping this week, so be on the lookout for that as well. But let me know in the comment section what you thought about WWE NXT No Mercy. That was my thoughts. Don't be a dick, like what you like, but let us know and keep the conversation going. Check out all the great content we got on the True Hill Heat YouTube channel right now, like our NJPW Destruction in Kobe 2025 review. Check out the True Hill Heat flagship podcast, True Hill Heat 348 from this past Saturday. And like I said, I'll be back tomorrow with y'all then. It is me, your True Hill Phenom, SP3. This has been our WWE NXT No Mercy 2025 review. We are signing